welcome everybody. This is super exciting. Can I just say how amazing it is to see everybody here in this room supporting this as well in such a wonderful way. This is super exciting for me because this is the first ever Girls in Property panel that has been hosted at the HMO Summit, which is a massive, massive achievement. So first of all, to all the women and the men in this room, thank you for always supporting women and girls in property. So yay, brilliant. So what was really interesting was Van asked me a year ago to host this panel, and he said to me, Athena, you can choose the topic and you can choose the speakers that you want to have on in terms of the ladies. And I have chosen 3 incredible women for you today who all have different backgrounds within the HMO industry that we can all learn from today and take something away. And when we spoke about this the other day, we wanted to make it as impactful as possible for you all to take nuggets and learn from as well. So super exciting. Girls, are you ready? Yeah. You're ready? Okay, so as always in true Girls in Property style, as I always do on the podcast, can you first of all go through individually, introducing yourself so that everyone can know your background, so when we answer the questions they know, but also let us know something you're celebrating at the moment. So Celia, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Celia Seal, and yes, that really is my name. I am based up in Liverpool, where I invest. Can you not tell by my Scouse accent? No, I've been living there for quite a few years now. I used to be a teacher, and back in 2021, I gave up all of that to become a property investor. So I started out with no houses whatsoever. I'd done it all round the wrong way. I gave up my job before I even had my very first HMO. And I bought a tiny little terrace property and I turned it into a 3-bed HMO. We had lodgers that have lived with us for many years, and they were all from a specific dance college just round the corner. And they would live with us for 1 year and then they would go off and find their own properties. And I thought, you know what, I could probably get a property for them to live in. But by that stage, I'd kind of got to know them as individuals, and I wanted to nurture these young girls because they were important in my life. So I found them a property and I renovated it, and I turned it into a little 3-bed HMO, and I still have that one. And then I thought, this is going to be interesting. I could do this again. So I did it again and again. And now I have a mixed portfolio. I have semi-commercial, block of flats, and HMOs, some students and some professionals. So what am I celebrating? Well, I was hoping to celebrate the block of flats that was supposed to have completed on Wednesday, but in true fashion, it hasn't gone through, which is really frustrating. It's supposed to go through on Monday now. So I'm going to celebrate my family business. Some of my properties are student ones. I rent out as service accommodation over the summer. And this year, I've handed it all across to my 21-year-old daughter, and she has just taken it on and absolutely run with it. She's linking all sorts of different apps to her phone. She's communicating with the cleaners. She's absolutely amazing. And I even roped in my 20-year-old son yesterday, and he did some maintenance on some of the gardens. So it's all good. So that's what I'm celebrating today.
Amazing. There's the people behind the HMOs, as we
Absolutely.
say. Kim, what about you?
Yes, so I'm Kim Opszala. I'm one half of Como Properties, which I run with my husband. And we have a mixed portfolio. We've been investing since 2016. We have blocks of flats and professional and student HMOs. We invest strictly in Article 4 areas, and I can talk about that another time. We actually like Article 4. And yeah, we have a complete mix. We'll be at about 70 units by the end of the year. Most of those owned. We have a couple of rent-to-rents that are great for the cash flow of the business. I'm a corporate lawyer, so my day job is mergers and acquisitions, but property is definitely my passion, and travel, as David said earlier. So a couple of years ago, during COVID, my husband converted a van into a camper van. For the past 2.5 years, we've spent 90 days in Europe, 90 days in England. Our son started school recently, so it's all stopped. But we still travel a lot. What am I celebrating? So we had a planning win last month. We had a sui generis HMO application that had 190 neighbour objections and 2 councillor objections. So went to committee, and it was in the national press, the local press. It was a very stressful situation. I actually almost had a heart attack Where, so I'll tell you the background. My Apple Watch, just before I was about to speak, alerted me that my heart rate was through the roof and I wasn't moving. Did I want to call emergency services? Because it was going so fast. It was like, what's wrong? True story. So yeah, I did almost have a heart attack. But we got the planning. We got 8 votes to 1, so it was approved. So yeah, massive. I think I'll celebrate that for the rest of the year.
Huge achievement. Massive achievement. Well done. Sophie.
Hi everyone, I'm Sophie. My background is scuba diving. I spent my 20s as a scuba diving instructor, working my way around Southeast Asia, living my best life. Then my husband, Simon, and I bought a beach in Indonesia and built our own scuba diving resort. That's for a separate event and we need to write a book about it. But we had our kids out there and then moved back to England so they could go to school here. And then we fell into the world of rent to rent, which is an amazing business model. I absolutely love it. And in 4 years, we've now got 32 HMOs across Southampton and Bournemouth. And we've grown our team, who are here today. Hi, David and Laura, you're amazing. And I'm celebrating. Back in November, I did a bit of a bonkers deal where I signed 10 HMOs in a day, all to be given the keys on the 1st of July. So we've spent months preparing for this moment. My team have been filling the rooms. And yeah, it's gone well. It could have been a massive liability, but it's all good.
Wow, amazing.
Good planning helped.
Good planning, definitely. Can you see why I chose these 3 women to speak to us today for the panel? They all have such amazing backgrounds and have done incredible things. So great celebrations, ladies. So today, guys, what we want to talk about with our questions is the human side of HMOs, because at the end of the day, we all have the portfolios of the HMOs, but who is it that's actually running them? What is it like day to day actually running these HMOs? So let's delve into that a little bit today with the questions. Right, ladies, question 1 to each of you. I think we'll do it in reverse order this time, if that's all right. I think we'll start with Sophie this time. So here's the question. As individuals managing a HMO business, how has this journey impacted your personal life, from family and relationships to financial well-being?
Good question. Well, I think as business owners, the dream is all about financial freedom, which is time freedom as well. But as business owners, we also just want to chase the next thing and get on this ladder of success. So for me, the first couple of years were mad, good, crazy. I definitely suffered burnout a couple of times. So for me, it's been about finding the balance of wanting to have the best business ever and scale it, but to also think, okay, what is the level of success that I'm happy with? Why do we now need 50 HMOs? Why do we need 100? And figuring out what those boundaries are. And we've just moved to Dorset, and having more beach days and actually working flexibly around the kids is really important to us. So trying to grapple with that, and we haven't got that right yet.
Yeah, but I think it's always just a constant journey, isn't it? And I love what you said, it's working out the end goal. It's like, well, why are we doing this? Because you can set a goal of saying, I want 10 HMOs in a year, and it's like, yeah, but why? What's the purpose of them? What's it going to achieve? So I love that, and I love the fact you're back by the beach where you belong.
Yes.
Kim, what about yourself?
Yeah, mine's pretty similar, really. It was all about, so when we started investing back in 2016, I was working in the largest law firm in the world at the time. So I was 100-hour week was a normal week. It was crazy hours. Mike, my husband, was a chef at the time, so he would work nights, weekends. I was working 24/7, it felt like. So for us, getting into property was very much about having that financial and time freedom. Similar to you, we went through a path of like just kept growing, and then we'd almost replaced our old jobs with a new HMO business that took up all our time. But for us, it was definitely the time and financial freedom, and you know, we wouldn't have been able to travel 90 days off, 90 days on in our corporate jobs. And you know, it's given our son a fantastic start in life. You know, not many 5-year-olds can say they've been to sort of 25 countries, and for us, that was the whole point. And I suppose we've got there.
Where's your favourite country you've been to?
So in the camper van, Sardinia.
Sardinia?
Yeah,
Wow, I'd love to go to Sardinia.
It's really camper van friendly. You can literally park on the beach. A lot of places don't like camper vans. There's like signs everywhere saying don't park here. But Sardinia is really friendly, and it's just a great country. So yeah, it was our favourite.
Oh,
definitely.
one for the list, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh. Celia, what about yourself?
So when I was a teacher, I was really constrained. I mean, to the point that, you know, I couldn't even go to the toilet without the bell ringing. You know, I was absolutely in a box. Couldn't couldn't go on holiday without it being holiday season, and therefore the prices were really expensive. I was really, really constrained. I was really constrained with my autonomy as well, because although I was in senior leadership in a school, even if I made a decision, I had to run it by so many people, and by the time it actually got implemented, it was just watered down to nothing. I just got a bit fed up. I mean, it was actually, crunch point came, was my mum has Alzheimer's. She's at the latter stages of Alzheimer's now. And we were in the middle of COVID, and we were in lockdown, and I hadn't seen my mum since August. It was about May, June time, and a lot can change in that time. So we were just coming out of one of the lockdowns, and I went to my head teacher, whose father actually had only recently died of Alzheimer's. And I went to her and I said, look, can I take Thursday, Friday off work? Unpaid leave, can I take it unpaid leave? And I'll come back on Sunday, ready to start work on Monday. And she just looked at me and she said, do you know what, Celia, I'm going to say no. And I just thought, I can't cope with somebody having that much control over my life anymore. So I got in the car, had a really good cry. I got home and we had a discussion, and I handed my resignation in the next week. And I just thought, I need that freedom. I need to be able to make those decisions for myself. And it's been the best thing that I've ever done, really. So now, you know, just the other day, I was sitting in the garden on a school day. And with a cup of tea with my daughter, just sort of shooting the breeze and just talking about all sorts of stuff.
Shooting the breeze?
Yes, you do, your 21-year-old daughter.
I love that.
Yeah, so we were just chatting away. And it's really precious. It's really, really special to be able to do those things. And in fact, from here, I'm going down to go and see my mum straight after this. So it's just, you know, it just shows that if you're your own boss, you make the decisions for yourself and you have that autonomy. I know Simon Sinek talks about your reason why, and that is so important to me. It's my reason why.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. Do you feel like that was your light bulb moment?
Absolutely.
So she did you a favour almost?
Yeah, she did. I mean, looking back, I mean, I was really upset and really sad. And she was quite surprised that I handed my resignation in. And at the time, I wanted to stamp my feet and tell her reasons why. And now I don't really need to do that, because actually she did me a favour. I now am, you know, the business is mine and my husband's, and we're making it work for us, and it's really hard work, right? Really, really hard work. But
Beautiful.
It's certainly worth it.
Amazing. Is anybody here still in full-time employment? Just raise your hand. Yeah? Yeah. Who here isn't, but like they had like a light bulb moment where they were like, I can't be in this job anymore? Anyone here? Yeah. We've all had that moment, haven't we, where we've gone, screw all of you, I'm going to go do this myself. And for those who are still in full-time employment, it absolutely is possible to get yourself to where Celia is today. The piece of advice I give is I see a lot of people sometimes jump too soon as well. They can sometimes go too quickly, and then therefore they put pressure on themselves. You'll have your moment, but just make sure it's the right moment for you as well. But well done, that's amazing.
Yeah. And we gave ourselves a year, and I think really we probably should have given ourselves 3 years.
Right. And that's
you know,
the reality.
Yeah,
that's the reality. It's a slow burner. It's not a get rich quick in 90 days, and I want to make sure we speak about that, but fantastic. Right, brilliant answers, ladies. Thank you very much. Okay, second question. I'm going to mix it up. Nobody knows who I'm going to ask first. Second question. As a HMO landlord and business owner, when did you know it was time to invest in staff and build your power team to support growth? We often start by doing everything ourselves. So who was the first key person you brought in, and why was that role so important? Kim, I'm going to come to you first.
So our first investment in 2016 was a small block of flats, so it was ASTs, and we ran that ourselves for a couple of years. In 2018, when we got our first HMO, it was a 7-bedroom, and I think pretty soon after that, we got a Filipino VA. We were, as I said earlier, we were both working, you know, quite long hours, and so having this 7-bedroom HMO all of a sudden, the admin that comes with that, the tenants leaving, coming and going. We still did a lot of it ourselves, but we did recruit quite early on a Filipino VA just to help with the heavy lifting on admin. So the stuff behind the scenes. And then we've still got Filipino VA in our business now, but the team has grown as the business has grown. And you ask, how did you know? It was necessity. Yeah. We were just so busy ourselves. In order to, run a decent business, we needed an extra pair of hands. Probably not the right way to do it. It was kind of, we were already sinking at the point that we recruited, but it works.
Yeah, but do you know what? That happened to me as well. I was at the point of sinking before I actually hired people, because I felt like I could do it all myself, but I was really conscious about cash flow. Exactly. And I was still building the business. I was still building it. I was like, well, I can't afford to do it. But there comes a point where you can no longer build the business or the portfolio without having it. And so you have to almost make that investment in the short term for the bigger picture. So starting, it's that fanning of the flames when you start. Sophie, what about you?
So I've kind of brought people in slowly, bit by bit. I think it's scary to hire a full-time employee when you're not quite ready. As we built the business, my husband came in full-time, the amazing Simon. He was working for the ambulance service in the control centre. And I was like, can you come and do a few drawers? Okay, can you come and paint a couple of rooms? And it just got big. So he came in full-time and was amazing at helping me with the refurbs, taking on new deals. One of them was the most disgusting 7-bed student house, like you can smell it, it's sticky, that kind of thing.
What did it smell of?
I can't tell you. It had too many tenants in it. It hadn't been cleaned for a long time. And I was walking around going, these room sizes are massive, this is great. And Simon was behind me going, please don't, please don't, please don't. So I took the deal on and said, right, how long are we going to need? And he said 3 months. So we did an amazing, profitable deal on it. He basically lived there because he was renovating it. And I got a call from a care home saying, we've got 7 staff, they need rooms next week. Can you do it? And I was like, yes, we can. So I said to Simon, right, how much work is left? And we added it up. It was like 42 man days or something. So I was like, right, I need 8 men for a week and then we can do this. And this is the power of the network and the power team. I reached out to everyone I knew in Southampton, and we ended up with 8 Hungarian removal men who came in ready to work, and we had one painting the banisters and another one building furniture. We got it done in a week, and then we got the staff in. So that morning they came in and we were signing their agreements and checking them in. We left and Simon said, what do we do now? I was like, brunch. We're now going for brunch. So Simon was in the business. Then we found our amazing team member, David, who we finally booked a holiday after 2 years, went to Egypt, and I knew him through property anyway, and he was really keen. I said, can you be my master key holder for a week? And he did the most incredible job for us, just solved problems immediately. I was like, this is our guy. So he came on part-time, then he came on full-time, and then you've got all these subcontractors, haven't you, like cleaners, gardeners, painters, decorators. So I think bit by bit is the key.
Yeah, bit by bit. And your power team is so essential. But I tell you the bit is when we're growing our businesses are like our baby, aren't they? And so to trust that in the hands of other people, to be like, can I leave them for a week? Because even though I'm sure you had the absolute trust in David, I'm just thinking to myself, could you relax on holiday knowing that it was still with somebody else who you didn't know at the time necessarily well, but you almost have just got to have that trust, don't you, in order to leap forward.
But most people are good people.
Most people are great people.
I think you just have to let them.
Yeah, let them, exactly, absolutely. Let them do their job. Yeah. Celia, what about yourself?
So I think the first person that kind of came, I sort of relied on really, rather than me having it on as my team, was my broker. He became a bit of a coach for me, a bit of a mentor. He talked at that level and it was going right over my head, and then gradually as time went by I suddenly realised some of it was going in, and yeah, he was really, and still is, very important in my business. Obviously I don't pay him directly as such, but it's part of my team, and it's really very important part of my team. As time's gone on, I think when I first started I did the classic, I'm going to do all this myself because I'm going to save money, right? So I painted the entire house, I put the flooring down, I even built a shelf to put the washing machine and tumble dryer on. I mean, I was that clever, kind of like that able to use power tools and things. And I got my hairdresser's husband to come in and do all the electrics and the plumbing and all sorts of things like that. And of course, it took me way too long. And it was at that moment that I realised actually time is money. I could have rented that property out a lot earlier. And be getting in rent from that. it was very soon after that I got a really good builder, really good electrician and plumber. And believe me, I've gone through my plumbers. If anyone knows of a really good roofer in Liverpool, that's where I still need a really good roofer. I've kind of accumulated various people along the way and picked them up. And you know, some people let you down, and some people you just have to kind of go, actually, that's not the way we do things, and move on. So then the very first person I've actually paid for is a VA as well, so a girl out in the Philippines. I found her because I went for lunch with another property investor friend, and she was telling me how brilliant her VA was. And then she said, and I've trained her on Coho. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I need this woman, I need her. So I had a little conversation with her, and she knows all about how to use Coho. She communicates with my tenants. In fact, it was at the Girls in Property retreat a few months ago. I was chatting to Sophie, and a WhatsApp message came through on my phone. And it was from one of my tenants, and it was at 8:30 on a Friday evening, and the message read, I've broken my earring. Do you know of somebody who could fix it? And I was just like, that is ridiculous. That's a tenant expecting me to solve this problem. And I think Sophie at the moment said, get yourself somebody who can come and help. And so that's, yeah, she did. And that's where we've got now. So we've got an amazing VA, and she helps me out in all those admin roles and the communication between me and my tenants as well.
Yeah, definitely. Seems to be that like admin is kind of the first thing to be taken off so that we can go and do the business development side of things. That tends to be the best way. And do we have any roofers from Liverpool in the room? Any roofers? No, we'll have to continue that search. If anyone knows a roofer, come see Celia. Yeah, absolutely, and I think that is so important. I tell you what, this has actually inspired me right in this moment to do a podcast episode all around staffing in your business, because I personally didn't go straight for a Filipino VA. I've actually got a VA who's UK based, but through a connection, and the differences between a Filipino VA and say a VA based in the UK, I think is really interesting. So I think I'm going to do a podcast about staffing. So this has really encouraged me to do that. Brilliant, ladies, thank you so much. And then my third question is, and I like this one, I want to hear what your girls are going to think about this, and the audience as well. So here's my question. What systems or AI tools are you currently using to manage the daily operations of your HMO business? With increasing talk about AI potentially replacing roles, do you see it enhancing your team or possibly replacing parts of it? Who wants to go first? Who's taking it? Come on.
I'll go first. Go
cool.
on then.
Okay.
Okay, so AI, I use it every day. Absolutely every day, I really do. So I'm also a coach as well. So I did some training with Rick Gannon. He's hired me as one of his coaches now. So I support him with his mentees. And I do a lot of coaching calls. And then I have to sort of write notes, and I don't need to write notes anymore, so I use AI to help me with my note taking. Yeah. And oh my gosh, and now when I'm having a meeting from me and my business, I put the AI companion on as well, and it is absolutely gold. It really is. It really supports me. Now, has that replaced anyone? No, it just means that I am now freed up to be able to do the things that I'm skilled at, I'm good at. You know, I don't want to be sitting there making notes. That's not my skill set. I can now, as soon as the call's finished, I can get on and do my business rather than having to spend hours writing notes. And then the same with other parts of AI. I mean, for instance, I use ChatGPT all the time. I've actually started to offload onto ChatGPT, and I find I actually get the best results. So I kind of start by kind of go, right, so this is what's in my head, ChatGPT. Can you kind of make this make sense to me and to everyone else? And it works really, really well. The other thing I do is I actually put legal documents through ChatGPT as well, yeah. But that hasn't replaced my solicitor. I still need my solicitor. I still need that person to be able to you know, make sure that it's absolutely legal and everything. But it just helps me to, you know, understand it a bit better. It's like an added tool that I use. It hasn't replaced anything. It's just now an extra tool that I use on my business. The one thing, though, that AI can't do is it can't take students to A&E when they've broken their collarbone. They still need me for that.
It never stops, does it?
No, never stops.
It never stops, goodness. With ChatGPT, the thing that I do with the legal documents is I ask it to point out all the fees involved in the documentation and then just lists all the fees for me. So I'll never spot a missing fee because I'm just like, just list the fees for me. And then list all the pros of this, list all the cons of this. And I just ask it as if I'm speaking to a lawyer. I still use the lawyer, of course, but you go in prepped to the conversation. So I already know X, Y, Z. What don't I know?
Did you know that you're actually supposed to ask ChatGPT if they're hallucinating? Right, because apparently sometimes it does make up stuff.
Does it?
Yeah, it does. So you actually, after a little while of communicating with it, you're supposed to go, are you hallucinating? And it will go, no, I'm telling you the truth. Or it might go, yeah, actually, I've made it up.
Really?
Have a go at it and see what it
If
says.
you've ever heard of that, I've never heard of that.
Well, have
No.
a go. Let's see.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I asked ChatGPT what it wanted to call me, and everyone else got a lovely response saying Nova or whatever. I got just call me ChatGPT. I was like, okay, that's fine. Kim, what about you? What AI software are you using?
Yeah, so I use ChatGPT a lot. I don't tend to use it in systems in the business, but I lean on it a lot. In terms of tenant comms sometimes, we're both student landlords, so sometimes you get tricky situations and it's quite difficult to deal with over Coho. I recently had 2 student tenants, they'd fallen out, so they've moved in as a group, they're friends, it happens a lot with students, and they'd fallen out, but it had actually gotten quite nasty, there'd been an altercation, and we were just constantly getting comms from each party, you know, this has happened, that has happened. And I'm quite an emotional person, so I just wanted to be like, this is what you need to do. And I spoke to NRLA first about what we actually should be doing, but ChatGPT helped me formulate the responses. Professional, not emotional like me. They were very sort of standard. I have noticed that a lot of the students also use it. So we're now getting, everybody's laughing, so it's not just me. But yeah, they send like a message and you could just tell it's not them, it's so formal.
You can see it's that, what's that one, it's the asterisk line as well. Yeah, you can see those
but
everywhere.
Also, you know, it's just too over the top for the student who you know to have typed that. Yeah, so we get that a lot. So to help respond, I use it a lot for that. I use actually for reviewing documents, planning holidays, Perplexity. AI, I like that. I think it's a bit more user-friendly. And as a lawyer, I have to say, for checking legal documents, just be careful with ChatGPT because it is out of date. Yeah, sometimes it just gets things completely wrong. I asked it something and it was referring to what the position was in 2024 because it's got a lag. So, yeah, as a lawyer, I have to say that bit.
I knew you were going to say that.
Don't replace us with AI.
I was waiting for you over there, definitely. And then, Sophie, what about yourself?
I think we've all found ways to bring it into our business. I don't think I can replace my team with AI because I think the human element of HMOs is so important. Like I remember when me and my team talk about doing viewings, someone might come off good on paper, but it's that vibe check. Do you know what I mean? Like if they seem a little bit creepy or a bit off, you know, AI is not going to get that. That's going to be the human bit. Okay, sorry, this room is reserved. And yeah, you have to be a human to deal with some of these problems, don't you? Yeah, they can become quite complex. And if someone's behind on their rent, we don't just start sending them reminders. We'll speak to them, figure out what their background is. Can we help them? So yeah, I think humans will always be required.
Yeah, it's just finding the right balance, isn't it? You're totally right with what you said. They can be the best tenant on paper, but then you meet them and you're like, just sensing a vibe here, you know, or even the other way, they could be like the best person you've ever seen in front of you. I've had this before. Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, well, that went wrong, didn't it? Absolutely. Just out of curiosity, because I think this is important for feedback and sharing, does anyone else have a different piece of AI software that they actually use themselves that they want to share with everyone to help? Or are we all the same in terms of ChatGPT? And yes, what do you use? Do you want to stand up so we can hear you? Which one? Fathom. What's Fathom?
It sits in your Teams meetings and writes you notes based on your actual activity. It's amazing. So it will say, so-and-so said this is what they're going to say, and this is what they're going to do. Oh my God, it's just
Game changer.
I need
beautiful.
that with my husband.
Me too. Me too. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. What about HMO specific? Does anyone use any AI tools for HMO specific things? No. I guess I don't know if it's AI, but Coho particularly is fantastic at it. We've all used Coho. Like it's great in terms of rent collection, being able to put the tenancy agreements together, being able to then chase etc. and get all the guarantees in. So Coho's another good one for HMOs.
One of the things that I've started to look at is asking ChatGPT what the commercial yield is in a certain area.
Yes.
But what I have noticed is that you do have to give it really good prompts. You can't just say what's the commercial yield in Ipswich or whatever it is. You've got to really kind of be specific about what your properties you're looking at, what you're comparing it to, what condition the property is. And I think it's a little bit like when I was at school, one of the first things we learnt was garbage in, garbage out. And it's the same with ChatGPT. If you put a really simple prompt in, you're not going to get a good quality answer out. But I wouldn't just trust it on its own. I would use it as another tool in my toolbox. Yeah. So use that along with, I don't know, your property data or your own personal research or other people's valuations. You'd use that as part of your own tools. But yeah, that's just another way of using it.
Definitely. I think the one that I've used with ChatGPT as well, and I don't know if this will help anyone or if you already do it, is to get the Article 4 restrictions quite a lot. I find sometimes it's quite difficult to go through each of the council websites to find them, whereas if you ask it, is this an Article 4 area, and you give very specifics, it usually says yes or no, and then you say map it out for me as it, and then it actually will show you the boundaries as well. So that's worked a few times, not always, but it's worked a few times as well for finding Article 4s, which is really good. Perfect. I've loved these questions. Have these questions been helpful so far? Are we all, yeah, we're nodding. I see nods, that's good. So I've got an exciting way to finish this panel because I always think to myself, what are the realities? What is it that people don't talk about enough? I find that too many people nowadays stand on stage and kind of talk about all the good things that are happening at the moment and standing in front of their Ferraris and saying, you can get rich quick in 90 days. And our mission is that we want to kind of debunk that a bit and to show the realities and the life behind the HMO. So to finish off, ladies, I would like to hear, in true Girls and Property style, a property disaster that you have either experienced recently or are going through right now that you're happy to share with everybody. So, Soph, why don't we start with you? Tell me about a property disaster you've got.
We've always got them going on. Yeah. I think one of my favourite ones was the mystery of the cat poo bag. We had a tenant on the ground floor let us know that bags of cat poo were being dropped outside the window, and it was the tenant above who had a secret cat. So I had many questions for this.
Okay, secret cat, go.
Secret cat, yeah. Why bag it? Why throw it? Why the secret cat? We had to talk to the other tenants.
Who's had a secret cat?
Yeah, who's had a secret pet in the HMO?
I've had so many. Yeah. Three dogs.
Yeah.
It's just not the right place for an animal.
It's not, but they said actually, yeah, the cat was just staying over for the weekend. So the cat had to go.
I love the fact that they thought it was just gone.
Yeah, it's gone. Gone out the window. Bye.
Back it and go. Brilliant, love that. Celia, what about you? What's your property disaster?
I've got one that's another poo-related one, but my latest refurb, we needed to put a gas potential heating system in. All the pipework was already there, but when they started pulling things apart, they realised that they needed to replace a big pipe that went right to the top of the property. So they started following this back, and then they came across, behind a shower, they came across what they thought was splatters of plaster. And as they pulled back the shower, they realised that the waste pipe had disconnected by 3 foot. And therefore, the waste from about 4 of the rooms was coming down, and then some of it was kind of going into the pipe below. So what was splatter of plaster was not. Do you know what? It didn't smell. I think it must have just kind of, the tenants hadn't lived in it for a while, so I think the smell had gone. But yeah, we had to completely take the back of the shower off, reconnect it, and yeah, it was a bit of a crappy situation, really.
Literally. Oh God, why do we want to get into HMOs? Honestly, just all of this, absolutely. Kim, what about yourself?
Yeah, so mine's a group that we recruited late in the student year. So if you've got student HMOs, you'll know there's certain times of year best to have a HMO ready, and ours just completely missed that due to planning. And so we came out of the refurb at sort of September. So I suppose, how do I say it nicely, you get the different type of students to those that are looking and organised earlier in the year. So we took on this group. The house had previously been derelict, empty for years, so it'd been a real problem for the neighbours. We'd come in, we'd said to the neighbours, we're amazing landlords, you're going to have great tenants. we got this group in and they were just a nightmare. They completely trashed the property. We had one gentleman who was adamant he wanted the ground floor room, which normally the ground floor rooms, in my experience, aren't the desirable ones, but he took the ground floor room. It turned out he was like drug dealing out of the window.
In cat
So, no, I don't know if it was in cat glue bags, but so he was opening the window and people on hired scooters were like going past, stopping and carrying on.
Wow.
But yeah, you can imagine like that whole like 8 months of the tenancy was just a nightmare. The neighbours were calling us, they were having parties, and yeah, the house just, brand new HMO. Luckily, post-valuation, this all happened. But yeah, it was just one of those disaster tenancies.
Do you know, I'm so interested in just people and just people and psychology and consumer behaviour. It's like, where do they get the ideas from to do these things?
Drug drops.
Yeah, but I find it quite, dare I say, interesting. I'd always want to sit down and be like, talk me through your thought process of why you're doing this and how. Fantastic, girls. I've loved that, and I've loved all the questions. I actually think what would be really great now, if you're happy to do it, and we've got a bit of time actually, is to hear from the floor as well, because I think you're all so brilliant and you've all got so much experience to offer and realness as well. And so we've got time for maybe let's say 2 questions. Please don't make it too specific, because of course then, we want to include everybody in the room. We don't want to be asking about one specific deal or something. But is there a question that you've always thought that you wanted to ask? Like who here already has a HMO portfolio? Does everyone here have a HMO portfolio? Okay, who here's getting started in HMOs? So maybe let's have one question from the people who have the portfolio, and let's have one question from the people starting out. So ladies starting out, start thinking about your question. So come on guys, we're a room full of investors here. Let's ask a question for these fabulous women. What do you want to know as a portfolio landlord? You think of a good one? Yes, at back. Can you stand up, please?
So, in regards to student HMOs, obviously with the new renters' rights bill coming out, what is your expectation and what do you think the risks are going forward for your student portfolio?
One of the issues is obviously the 12-month tenancy being scrapped. Our student year runs actually from today, so July rather than September. So the risk of the void period is slightly lower for us than in some areas where, September you're going to have months and months of voids. We're keeping calm and carrying on is my message at the moment. It's not in place yet. There's been a lot of proposals for changes by the House of Lords, which will probably be overturned in the next few weeks. But we've let for the following year, for the next academic year, and we're continuing and until it's law and we know what we're dealing with. Because they've got this clause at the moment where if you've got 15 units, then you're PBSA. And so you fall outside of the rules. They're trying to finalise, is that 15 units in one block? Is that 15 units as a landlord that makes you a professional landlord? There's a lot up in the air, so I'm trying not to panic is my answer at the moment. Yeah, we're getting calls a lot at the moment. We do direct-to-vendor marketing, and we're getting a lot of landlords that want to sell up, that are sort of towards the retirement age, and this is probably the tip of the iceberg for them. So I see it as an opportunity, but it's difficult at the moment when we don't know what's coming in.
Yeah. And I recorded a podcast episode on Monday that just went with somebody called Julie Ford, who's actually a judge here today at the HMO Awards. She's got over 30 years of experience and has literally worked with the NRLA and also knows everything there is to do about the Renters' Rights Bill. She's got over 30 years experience. I usually record my episodes and release 5 weeks later. I recorded it on Monday. It's out on Monday, literally, because the information she gave on the podcast, I was sat there going, we need to get this out as soon as possible. There are 264 pages of the Renters' Rights Bill, and there have been over 30 pages that have been added or amended, as it were. So if you want to listen, I'm genuinely not plugging, I mean this, Julie Ford on the Girls and Property podcast, everybody can listen to it. You must listen if you're in HMOs and listen to the Renters' Rights episode, going out Monday, 7 a.m, because Julie is phenomenal with it. Thank you, Ryan, good question. Yeah, hot topic, renters' rights, definitely. Right, ladies who are starting out in HMOs, I said I was going to come to you. Who wants to ask a question for these fabulous ladies?
What's the biggest lesson you've learned, and if you were to start again, what would you do differently?
Just keep going. Just keep going.
Can't carry on.
Yeah, and, you know, business is hard. Lots of people fail. It's the people that just keep plugging away that do it. You know, in the rent-to-rent model, it's just sending those letters, speaking to those agents. I got so much rejection. It took 3 months to get those first properties on board, and I could have just given up. So it's just keep going, keep plugging away. Consistency wins, I think.
Joanna, can I give you an example of this? Because I think that this might really help you and others in the room. I remember the day I sent out my letters, and I remember getting my first ever call from a HMO letter, and I was so excited, and I was sat there, and I was like, oh my God, this is working. And I picked up the phone all energetically, and this old woman literally screamed down the phone at me. My first ever call, ever, screamed down the phone at me because I'd sent a letter to her dead husband. My first ever one, guys, right? And so she said, you brought up bad memories for me. She said she was going to sue me. I don't quite know how. But I remember just going, okay. And I got off the phone and I just completely broke down. And I thought to myself, I can't do this. I'm not built for this. This isn't part of who I am and my personality. And actually, what I ended up doing was I called Sophie. I called Sophie and I said, Soph, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I'm built for this. Someone's just called me up screaming down the phone at me. And Sophie, in her wonderful way, just went, she's like, that happens all the time. Welcome to property. And I went, oh, okay. Shall I just carry on then? And Sophie was like, yep. And I was like, okay, bye. And put the phone down. So sometimes all you need is that person to tell you, just keep going. Like, it's okay to be rejected and shouted at. And I promise you the hardest one, and who will agree with this? Who will agree that the hardest HMO they ever got was always their first one? Yeah, always. Because it's your lessons. It's the one that you learn with. But then when you get the next one, it just snowballs. So start and just know that you can then end up with cat poo if you wanted to, and live your best life in a camper van, you know, living your best life, as it were. But yeah, I think that's it for Girls in Property today. Obviously, if you wanted to talk to any of the girls or talk to myself as well, or learn any more about Girls in Property, then do come and find us. And hopefully we can all get in our shorts and T-shirts and off this very well-lit stage. It's very hot. But thank you so much for coming today and all of your energy and listening. And let's all connect and have the most wonderful day. So thank you so much.